Hi, I'm Barb Zortman. I'm the director of the Center for Traffic Safety. And with me is my coordinator for Lebanon County, Tracey Lynn. She's a traffic safety specialist, covers Lancaster and Lebanon counties. The Center for Traffic Safety, excuse me, is a community traffic safety program funded by federal funds from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, administered by PennDOT. So there's offices like ours throughout the state that cover multiple counties. We cover York, Adams, Lancaster, Lebanon. And in your folders is a very brief highlight of some of the programming that we do. Everything that we do is data driven. So that mobile is this chart where I took this program builder that PennDOT put together and I simplified it in ways that I can understand. And you can look at your picture and see. And I believe because we share a lot of the same roadways with these other counties, sometimes our data tends to look alike. Yours tends to look a lot like Adams County because you have the same kind of demographic and makeup. So although we do much of the same things in every county, we might change that delivery system based on the needs of that particular community. Having said all that, it is grant writing season, and so I am currently writing 2 grants, Community Traffic Safety Project grant that basically is our operating expenses, our salaries, and then the second grant is our Police Traffic Services grant, which we don't administer here in Lebanon. We only do that in Lancaster, Adams, and York. And the only reason is because you guys already had an impaired driver program set up here. We had one in York covering Adams and Lancaster, so PennDOT gave those grants too. So here it's your county detective's office that runs the sobriety checkpoint program, as it's better known as, which also includes all those other wonderful things, aggressive driving, seat belts, and pedestrian safety. So one of the things that we are required to do is to go to the counties that we are serving and make sure that they know who we are and what we're doing, because sometimes the Board of Commissioners change, people come and go, and they retire, and so we need to refamiliarize ourselves with you, and plus things change over the years. So we are happy to apply for this county. We just need the county to say, okay, we're all right with you coming in here and doing this, and York County underwrites everything. So this is a totally 98% reimbursed program that the County of York pays all of our bills. They reimburse all of our police departments. They pay her salary, my salary, our benefits, our operating expenses, office supplies, retirement. You can go on and on and on. And there's just a little bit of deficit in there. So a great big thank you to the County of York for facilitating this for the last 34 years, actually. So having said all that, I either answered some questions or made some more, so what can I answer for you?
Any questions?
Well, I just point out, most recently, the police departments did an educational program where you certified them to install car seats, and so that was a pleasure to share.
Yeah, that's one of our premier services. Back in 1998, when NHTSA standardized the program, Lebanon County was a strong focus. I used to be her before I became the director, so I used to cover Lancaster and Lebanon County. I did that for, well, 25, well, I covered the state for 3, but of that, about 22 years I served this county in her capacity, and now I'm the director.
Congratulations.
And the fun stuff, thank you. Wayne Harper was my predecessor, so in 2016 when he retired, right, 2016? Mm-hmm. I keep wanting to say 2015. When he retired, I took his position. Oh, hey, stranger.
It's pretty late.
So
Anything else?
Did everything, I'm done, we're leaving.
Any questions? Jonathan, anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I guess I'll introduce myself just for the record, Jon Fitzkee with Lebanon County Planning. No, I'm glad to be able here to support Barb. I guess, from the county planning perspective, over many years, Barb has been a great asset to the county. For some that don't recall, a number of years ago, we had a number of student fatalities at Elko in northern Lebanon, and as a result, I think for about 6 years, we had put together a driver safety symposium that, thanks to Barb's effort, I think it only took us about maybe like $1,500, I think, to pull off the entire event, and she pulled in a lot of her resources from State Farm, from the driver roadway express stream, and driver simulator, state police. You know, we had some incidents on Norfolk Southern at some of our grade crossings, and she brought in Norfolk Southern's team to do some training. So it was I mean, even if you weren't a student driver, I think you learned something that day from the event, and so she's been a very great supporter of our efforts here, and safety being obviously primary for the MPO's mission when it comes to our transportation network. So we're glad to be here.
On the heels of what he's saying is when we see crash data, especially when we see spikes, that's when we'll start throwing our enforcement or our education efforts towards that. What we've seen between the two charts here, one is fatalities, one is crashes. One of the oddest things is the crashes are up in teen drivers, but the fatalities are down, so we're hoping that means they're buckling up now. 5 years ago, we identified the mature drivers, 65 plus, as being #1 across the board. You can see they've now taken second, third place in some places, and aggressive driving has just risen to the top. So we're going to do a lot of it. I'm sure your PTS grantee is going to do a lot of enforcement in that. But one of the things we want to figure out is why we're having less crashes in some of these focus areas, but more people are dying. And why is that? Are they not buckling up? Are they, what is going on in that vehicle that's causing them to have a fatality when we're having less crashes? So we're trying to figure that out.
Do you track age related to those accidents? Because we have a lot of drivers now that are in their 90s driving, so they're a lot more fragile, so they maybe not survive.
The survivability is much lower. You're absolutely right. And we see their crashes, they're #3 across the board in all 4 of our counties. And fortunately, their fatalities unfortunately, they're about the same. So they are, when they have a crash, more likely to have some kind of serious injury or fatality. So yeah, that's absolutely excellent point. So what we will do, and what we have done, is just BDL, Bureau of Driver Licensing, once they compile, they'll give us the data on the number of licensed drivers and their age demographic. And it is shocking, the number that are 95 plus. But what we're seeing, and this also affects impaired driving as well, we're seeing a drug for every ailment, and people are living longer, so they're driving longer, and maybe they're driving impaired because they're prescription drug and they're not reading the side effects. When you read don't operate heavy machinery, that doesn't mean just a forklift, it means a car. It means your bicycle even, whatever. But and I think what we saw when we saw that spike 4 or 5 years ago, a lot of that was all kind of cumulative. There were medical and cognitive issues involved as well as. So our enforcement, we did a lot of education for our enforcement. We do 2 law enforcement trainings a year. One is DUI heavy, one is law enforcement heavy, and that of course is for all 4 of our counties. And we actually do have officers that come down from Lebanon County to attend that. So.
Do you get involved in, I know there's a senior safety course, do you get involved in certifying that because there's like credit for your insurance and things like that, or is that all done through AAA?
AAA is pretty much, I think we partner with them to provide that.
To promote it.
Okay.
Yeah, and they partner with us on a program called Car Fit, so we can help seniors get more suitably fitted into their vehicles. So there's so many different things that we've focused on teen drivers for so many years, and that this snuck right up on us. But that also another point is our region is, well, York and Adams in particular, or York and Lancaster in particular, but this all, like I said, we're just those 4 counties are so intertwined. We're the fastest growing in this 2 of the top 12 fastest growing, and this region is one of the fastest growing in that demographic of 65 plus. What's happening is the baby boomers are retiring, they're buying motorcycles without any training, you know, and they're like I said, driving longer. So there's just all of these things that we're looking at with the demographics. And then with the teen drivers, we focused on the millennial generation so much, but they're now parents of 16-year-olds. So, you know, that is a large part, studying our census, studying our demographics, so that we can focus on, okay, we see aggressive driving as a problem, but we want to know, is it the teen drivers, are they being involved? Are the mature drivers involved? What is actually involved? What demographic? And then when we look at mature or teen or commercial, we don't just look at that data. That is how some people do it, but we prefer to not waste our time educating people who don't need it. We do a lot of work with the senior centers, a lot of programming with the senior centers to keep that number where it's at. We're very proud of the fact that, we're very happy, I should say, to see that number come down in the mature driver area. But seatbelts are rising, fatalities, so that might tell us that the reason we're seeing some spikes in fatalities is because people aren't buckling up. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of the safety data that, you know, Barb and her team use also directly impact, you know, the projects and how we design them for a lot of ours. I mean, for any of you who you see roundabouts, there's a big viability that a lot of the crashes that we were seeing, especially with older drivers, is you put a brand new traffic signal in, you have a lot more safety measures with crumple zones and airbags that make a head-on crash survivable, but T-bones are somebody drives through an intersection, a roundabout, slower speeds, glancing. If any of you have driven up on 22 and you've seen the way the on-ramps have been changed to approach at a perpendicular, that's to provide better line of sight so you're not turning your head over your shoulder. So if you have people that, you know, have limited mobility, they may not be able to do that. So a lot of this information is going right into what we're trying to do with the department as we look at the type of users that we have out there and how that landscape is actually changing.
And on the subject of the seatbelts, we're in the middle of our high school seatbelt challenge, and a Lebanon County school this morning got 100%. I don't want to say which one because it's part of a contest, but a Lebanon County school did receive 100% this morning. So
when we started that high school seatbelt challenge back in 2019, I started it in Lancaster, and then it migrated up to here. The average usage rate of the teens was in their 60s, and now rarely are they below the 80s to start off. So that's a really important
You're making an
fact to
impact.
look at. Well, it's these kids that are in high school now have never known anything different than a car seat. So they're a little easier to work with when it comes to that kind of thing. They don't know what it's like to be in a car unrestrained. So it's a little different. I know when my grandson rides a bus every once in a while for school, he's amazed that he's like, shouldn't I? Like the first time he got on it, shouldn't I have something on? You know, then we have to go into that whole, you know, description of why that's really not necessary on a bus. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Pam. Go ahead.
It's not a question, just a quick commercial since we were talking about teen drivers. We are going to have the State Farm Distracted Driving Simulator in Lebanon County, May 21st, 10 to 6 at Canal Days. So if you've got teenagers and you want them to see what it's really like driving distracted, that's some place they could come out and see how much they don't know.
I will give you my card then, so you can email me that information.
We partner a lot with State
Thank
Farm
you.
because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of things that we're not allowed to purchase, strings attached to federal funding, such as advertising and things like that, that State Farm is invaluable to be able to provide us a sizable grant every year.
I have a special request. May I have one of your packets, please?
Oh, I thought it was meant to.
Did you not keep one for yourself?
Didn't you?
Yes,
I handed you one and the whole pack.
I'm like, I don't know. Somehow I did not keep one for myself.
Well, we can make you more if anybody needs more.
Maybe I'm not looking at the right place in the packets, but is there a similar 5-year average fatalities for 2012 to 2017?
Well, actually, yeah, we do everything in a 5-year trend. So in my documentation back at the office, I do have the previous 5 years. And I do use that actually in my problem identification when I'm preparing the narratives and stuff for the grant. I will say, what I'll look at is what worked by looking at the past 5-year trend. That's where I can tell you, in that last 5-year trend, our mature drivers now, 5 years ago, was up at the top. 2 years ago, I think they dropped to second place. But in that previous 5-year trend, they were at the very top. So what we'll do is we'll look at that, and then we'll compare it and see, now, is what we're doing working? If we haven't made an impact, we'll switch it out. And we'll throw out stuff. We threw out a program we did for 25 years because we didn't see it. You know, we were doing it because we always did it. And we just stopped doing it, and now we redirect that money and time and effort into something else.
Emily, were you asking for her to forward the previous
Yeah,
budget?
if you would be able
Uh-huh.
to do that, I'd
I
appreciate
would,
it.
definitely.
I do have a business card.
Sure.
Wrong pocket.
Definitely. And what is this?
Oh,
Lebtown.
Lebtown.
It's an online
Yeah, I write
version.
for Lebtown. I can't guarantee whether I'm going to use this in the
Oh,
article.
no,
but it
I'm
is
just,
something-
no, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
because I know, I'm familiar with the
All
Lebanon
online.
Daily News, but I wasn't.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We have 2 newspapers, one is print and online, the other one's strictly
Oh.
online,
Still
and
have-
our radio
still have
station.
Daily news here, but they don't do a lot of local news.
Oh, okay.
And this is a great alternative.
Good, because I'll put you on we have
As
a
much, I
media
should say.
circulation of about, I don't know, 267, so you'll
Yeah.
be 268.
Great.
Everything we do will come to you as well.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
For the record, correct, I just don't do as much as local news. Former Lebanon Daily News employee.
You already done
You
your,
have
Used to be, but this is
Dug your hole.
another source of local
I'm
news.
sorry,
We used to partner a lot, when I was up here, we partnered a lot with the Lebanon Daily News. When print media was the thing, you know, now everything's electronic and, you know, or online, which is not terrible.
All right, any other questions for our guests? If
Can
not,
I
we-
just ask Commissioner Kuhn one question?
Sure.
Be related to Paul Kuhn? You have
Don't
to
hold
be, you
that
have to be.
against
He's a good friend of ours.
A teacher.
Yeah.
My high school, he was my high school teacher. I had him in high school.
Thank you.
Letter to support, or, yeah.
we can do the motion now. Motion for the letter of support.
The motion to approve that letter.
and I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any question or comment? If not all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. Thank you
you.
for your
Thank you.
courtesies and your visit.